And welcome back, everyone, to another video. Now, pay no mind to the background. This is a background I chose, again, because it's pertinent to the video. But no, it's not a storytime video, unfortunately. That series is now ended by now. I wanted to talk about my hobby of writing. As you all should know by now, and I'm sure you do, I don't just make YouTube videos or cosplay on TikTok or go to conventions for movies and horror and cosplay. I also write. I've been writing poetry since middle school. And it wasn't until October of last year that I published my first book, which is a poetry book, which contains 19 of my most personal poems of how I feel in life and how I have felt in life. And it was a big accomplishment for me to have this thing published. I always wanted to publish a book, and especially a poetry book, because poetry is my preferred genre of writing. So this was a big deal for me. But I also took it a step further here recently when I published my second book just a couple of days ago. And it is not a poetry book. It is something that does not, it has nothing to, it's got some relation to poetry, but that's because it's part of the story. But it's not a poetry book. It is a novella, a short novel that I wrote. My very first one is called Frozen Ink and Deadly Pages, a 74-page murder mystery. And it focuses on the writing genre. It focuses on a group of writers and everything. I can go ahead and read you the synopsis. Sean Smith is a wealthy novelist who, while writing his newest book, is murdered in his New York home during a cold and snow-filled winter's night. The investigation into his death is full of twists and turns, and the involvement of his writing club, Quills and Daggers, comes into play, and Detective Robert Michaels must follow a trail of poetry and bloodshed to solve the case. But I did use poetry as a big focal point in the story because of my love of poetry, and particularly my love of the famous poet Edgar Allan Poe, who was well known for his poems, his short stories, and his one novel that he wrote, which is, well, technically it's also a novella. And it's a very unusual piece of work that he wrote with that novel, but it's very good. You can find it on Amazon, not too pricey. And you can also find on Amazon my poetry book, which is, for the paperback, $9. The ebook is $7. And my newest book, my novella, you can find on Amazon for $10. In the paperback, it's not available in ebook as of yet, but it is available on paperback. And I just want to make this video to say that I've written a second book. It is a step out of my typical comfort zone, because I am so used to writing poetry that it's really all I write. I mean, I don't write short stories. I've never written anything that could be considered a story outside of poetry. So this took me a year's worth of work to put together, and a lot of going back and forth on it, and whether I wanted to publish it or not. And as you all know, I also collect typewriters, and I write little poems for the typewriter. Like, these 4 poems took me 5 minutes. I can sit down and write in just a couple of minutes and have 4 poems, versus a year to write a 74-page book. But I went with the murder mystery angle because I am a big fan when it comes to novels of murder mysteries, and particularly Agatha Christie, the queen of the murder mystery. As you all have also seen, I've been playing the Murder on the Orient Express video game, the more recent one from last year, which I've also beat the game by now. Just waiting to finish editing the last couple of episodes. But this book being not a novella, a novel, but a short novel, because anything under 120 pages, I think it is considered a novella. It's just for me a big step. Like, I wrote something that's not a poem, that's not a collection of my poetry. It is a book, a story, a complete story from page 1 to page 74. It's a complete and done with story. And because it's set in the winter of 1924, I went with the title Frozen Ink and Deadly Pages, because it's in the winter. It's about a writer's club. Writers write on paper. So Frozen Ink and Deadly Pages is a murder mystery written by yours truly, and I don't claim that it's a masterpiece. I don't claim that it's the greatest book ever written. I don't think that at all. I think for what I'm able to do, for my ability, And for what it is and how long it runs, it's a decent story. It's a book that you could easily pick up and read and have done within one day if you like to read. It's 74 pages. You can knock that out of the park in one day. And that's really what this video is for. I mean, just to say I did this. I'm very excited that I did this because I'm so used to this. Because this is easy for me. This is simple. I've been doing this since middle school. I wrote my first poem in 8th grade. And it's actually, my first poem I wrote is actually in the book. It's called Just Because I'm Autistic. A poem about me and my disability. But I just want to sit down and talk about my new book. And I'm very excited about this book. I don't know if I could ever write another novella or even a novel, a full-size novel, because of how long this one took me and the doubts I had about myself while putting it together. Because you would not believe how many times I've been on the computer, on Word, and deleting things, changing things, going back and restarting things, because something didn't make sense to me, something didn't feel right. And it was just a whole year's worth of work that I haven't really been able to talk about. And I glanced over it briefly in a video from a few weeks ago at this point, because I showed this version, which was a test copy, but it's way too big. Way too big. And the cover art was so overly stretched that it's pixelated. You couldn't see the title. This is way too big. This much more comfortable size, a 6x9, and the cover art is not pixelated, so you can see the title. And it's not a bad format either. Easy to read. So thank you all for sitting here or standing there and listening to me and watching me ramble on about my writing hobby, my 2 books, and how I questioned myself a lot during the process of putting this one together. And just me here saying how proud I am of myself for going out of my comfort zone, something that more people really should do. You should do at least one thing that's outside of your comfort zone in your life. Accomplish something that you don't think you could do because it feels uncomfortable. This was very uncomfortable for me to do, but I did it anyway. I pushed myself, I persevered, and I created it. So thank you all for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Plenty of things coming up this year. And until next time, cheers.